Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's key, which is I was listening to Lala Kent Give Them Lala podcast, and on the latest episode, she has Katie Maloney and her mom, Terry. And what is revealed during the episode, and I have the clip of the podcast so we can listen to it together, okay, is a deleted scene or a scene that never made it on air where Ariana and Sheena are laughing at Lala and low-key Katie about the whole Raquel situation that happened in Vegas when Raquel said to Lala, well, you don't have a man for me to still, with the whole thing about Oliver and all of that stuff and how they called it savage. We're going to get into all of it. And then I also have about 3 other times where Ariana either gaslit someone or she dismissed them, primarily Lala and Katie. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, I want to preface it with this. I still am team Ariana. I still don't think that what happened to her was right. I still blame Sandoval for what he did. But I do think it's interesting to sort of dissect and look at ways that she participated in the cover-up of her own relationship. And I get it. You know, when you're in a relationship and maybe you're not happy, maybe, you know, things aren't right, you want to defend the relationship. You want to protect your partner. You want to be in denial. You get defensive. You project. I totally get that. So when I talk about this stuff, I'm by no means slamming Ariana or coming down on her. I just personally think it's interesting about the human experience, about how when the lengths that you will go to not only lie to yourself, but to lie to other people around you in order to protect the fantasy of the relationship that you wish you had, not actually reflect the relationship that you actually have. So I just wanted to put that out there. You know, I'm definitely team Ariana, and this is by no means bashing her. I just think we need justice for Katie and we need justice for Lala. So before we dive in, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and share. And with that, let's go. So we're going to listen to an excerpt from Give Them Lala's podcast where she tells about the scene where she, you know what, let's just listen to it and then we'll talk about it because it's going to be better coming from the horse's mouth than for me trying to recap it. So here we go.
Back alley with her soon-to-be ex-husband.
It's like we had so much. Yeah, there was the
Fine.
Yeah, no, that was the weirdest. I've never seen somebody go through it was maniacal. It was insane because we were having a really good time in Vegas. Like we had so much. Yeah, there was the comment about not having a man.
We shook that off so fast though.
It was fine. And then it took us like 4 hours to get to Havasu, but we had such like a bonding moment. I was like, this is great. Look at us gals coming together. And then we get to Havasu and she shows up to dinner as like a completely different person. And it just all goes to shit. And then she goes back to LA and gives a very, very, very different version of the entire trip to everyone.
And they all believed it.
And they all believed
that
it.
would track, but that is not how it went down. I think what they don't understand is people can evolve, people can change, people can be humbled. But because that group at the time had never experienced those types of things, they just thought that Katie and I invited her on this trip to, I don't know, bully her is basically what she said we did.
Yeah.
Could not have been further from the truth. But I remember after Havasu, and I don't know if I shared this with you guys or not, I have a scene that didn't make it with Sheena and Ariana. And I tell them how the trip went and what she said about not having a man. And they laugh about it. And they talk about that being savage. And I said,
well, I don't think they're so savage now.
Right. Like it's
because
not so savage when it's your man that she's fucking. And by the way, I am thrilled that I have treated her poorly for many years. Because look at what she does to people that are nice to her.
Right.
You know?
That's why I said to Ariana, I was like, I think she's broken. Like, I don't think it's like this is somebody who like is just does this to some people, not everyone. I don't think I think this is a flaw in her, and I would be careful. Like, I know you're saying that she's a good friend, but like I think she's evil.
Right.
I think she's truly to her core evil person.
And we praised that line on last week's podcast episode because we totally agreed when you said that, like, this is who she is. She's showing you who she is. She doesn't just treat some people like shit and then some people wonderfully. I think, and I compared it to like when you go out with someone, if they treat the waiter like shit, that's who they are.
Yes.
When people
Yes.
show you who they are, believe them. And it's
Yeah.
usually the negative traits. And that was so spot on. It's like she's not just evil to some people and an angel to others. That's who she is.
And it's and it's exactly what she was doing. Like,
Yes.
I know, and for her to have that conversation with Ariana by the back bar in the last episode, and like trying to take temperature to see if Ariana was maybe, gonna try to break up with Sandoval or something like that, or she could convince her to, all under the guise of trying to be a friend.
Right.
Like, that's the evil. That's evilness right there. And so I just,
I've never come across a person of this nature ever. So it just, again, I'm still trying to process that all in
Right.
my mind. She definitely needs some sort of help. She
Right.
really, really does. And I'm not even excusing all that she did because of it either, because it just was nonstop. And you know what I couldn't understand is all along throughout this season, you girls were like given the title of the mean girls.
Right.
But yet, how was it not perceived that what she was doing was just as mean and just as attacking?
it comes down to, like, I've brought this up to you, it's a likability thing, because she's always been a likable person. She was, with James, and she was this sweet, sort of like meek person who couldn't really stand her ground, and then here she is, stepping out on her own, and this whole thing where I and Lala for the past how many years have been someone who's strong and assertive and has opinions, and it's a very misogynistic thing that goes on that people don't, whether, and it's male and female that feel this way about other women, that it just is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. It's not palatable. It rubs people the wrong way. It doesn't make you very likable. Some people admire it. What's up? But for other people, they're just like, you become a bitch, you become negative, you become difficult. It's just not likable things, even though it is. I think it's a great quality to have, to be somebody that's strong.
Yeah. So exposed. Ariana and Sheena laughed, kikied over the fact that Raquel threw in Lala's face about her not having a man, this, that, and the third, and being very dismissive. And I agree with what Lala and Katie said. Oh, it's savage until it's your man she's having sex with. It's savage until it's your man that she stole and now you don't have a man. Well, I guess she has Daniel Way. We'll see what happens with that. But you know what I'm saying? And I think that scene, and I wish Bravo would have included this scene. I don't know why they didn't add that scene, but again, the producers kind of, my issue with the producers, that's a whole nother video. But I think that is very indicative of why I think Ariana owes Lala and Katie huge apologies. What we just watched, right? Well, number one, what we just listened to, them laughing, being very dismissive, saying that they're the mean girls, believing everything, oh, it's so savage that she said that to you. So it's savage that she's disrespecting me to my face. Is it savage now that she was having sex with your man in a car and under your roof while you slept? Think not. Number two. All right, this is the second time that I think Ariana owes Katie an apology. So remember, I think it was at the glamping trip when Sheena approaches Ariana and she's like, "Oh, Katie was saying that you and Tom Sandoval have an open relationship. She was saying this to Allie and how it's so weird that Tom and Raquel were dancing at the Abbey, blah, 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 blah." And Ariana goes, and she's supposed to be good friends with Katie. She's supposed to be going in business with Katie. She goes, "Oh, yeah, I believe she said that. Do I think she said it? Yeah, I'll have to talk to her." Excuse me, miss? Why would you just take whatever Allie says as the truth, or this other person saying to you as the truth? I get it, you're really close to Sheena, but you know that Sheena has such a hard on for Katie, and Sheena's not even saying she heard this. She's saying that Allie told her this. And yet Ariana did not skip a beat to be very dismissive of Katie and to not have Katie's back. If it were me, if it was my friend and someone I'm going into business with, I would be like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know. I'll talk to them about it. I'll see what she said." My default wouldn't be like, "Yeah, she said it." Isn't that funny? How all of a sudden, she had all the smoke for Katie and not even giving her the benefit of the doubt. She needs to apologize for that too, I think. And then back to, because a couple of things I also want to talk about. So also back to that deleted scene that Lala talks about on the podcast, and how Ariana and Sheena were both laughing and saying it was savage. Now I'm coming for your neck, Sheena. Was it savage when you had to ask your husband whether or not he had sex with Raquel? Because she told it on Watch What Happens Live, because it was the whole thing, #Brockel, going around saying, did Raquel and Brock hook up? Because he was swinging her around at the wedding in Mexico. He was doing fire emojis on her pictures. He was a big brother to her too. And how Sheena was like, "Oh, like I would trust Brock and Raquel in the same bed together." Girl, bye. Girl, bye. You're laughing and saying all of that is savage. Is it savage that on national television, you had to admit that you had to ask your husband if he, smashed Raquel? That's not cute. So it's funny when Raquel is being mean to Katie. It's funny when Raquel is being mean to Lala. I wonder how funny it is now. Sheena, you also owe them both apologies, Katie and Lala. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, now let's move on to the third time. This is the third time. Now, remember when it was exposed that Tom Sandoval lied to Ariana about not being able to get a ride home? This was over Labor Day weekend. He wanted to stay at the party. He was there with Raquel partying, and Lala overheard the fact that he lied to her because the guy, Jason, that had given him a ride was like, "Oh, you want a ride? I can give you a ride." And Tom lied to Ariana and said, like, "Oh, I couldn't get a ride. I was taking a poop and Jason left," all this stuff. And then it also was exposed because Lala's mom was there. She had heard Tom Sandoval and Ariana screaming on the phone, yelling and fighting because she's like, "Why won't you come? You should be with me." And he's like hanging up on her and being like, "Oh, sorry, my service dropped," while she's like crying and screaming on the phone. So all of that came out, right? And then we had this scene where Ariana's like, "Oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to just sit here and defend Tom Sandoval. You come over." And he got caught out for lying, for wanting to stay at the Labor Day party when Ariana's grandmother had just passed away. So instead of being with your girlfriend who was grieving the loss of her grandparent, you wanted to party at the Labor Day party with Raquel, and you lied to her and you got caught in the lie. Okay. And even in that scene, she's still trying to protect Tom in her so-called relationship. She's like, "Oh no, it didn't bother me." And Lala looks at her and she goes, "It's okay to admit and say that like you wish that he was there with you. Like it's fine to be honest, And then either the next episode or a couple of scenes later, we now see Tom Sandoval and Ariana doing damage control with a very scripted conversation that they had. Clearly, the conversation was only to cover for themselves. When Ariana is like, "Oh, well, and this is where the gaslighting comes in. She's like, "Oh, well, Lala had such a problem with, you not being there for me and you not showing up because she's so triggered by it. It's her triggers. So that's why she made it such a big deal." No, sweetheart, Lala isn't crazy in this situation. Lala's not being overly dramatic about the situation. She's calling out a very normal reaction. Your boyfriend of nearly a decade is lying straight to your face because he wants to stay at a party with this chick Raquel that he's had questionable things and fishy stuff going on with, when your grandmother just passed away and you're crying and screaming on the phone for him to come see you, and he's lying to your face and hanging up on you. That's not Lala being triggered or over exaggerating. I think that's anybody with half a brain cell saying something isn't right here. So the reason why I'm bringing all of this stuff up is just because I just think it's interesting. I think our human reaction, our human experience, how we do things, I just think that those are like very interesting conversations to have. Again, I'm still team Ariana. I don't think what happened to her was okay, but I do think it's interesting to see how, just like Tom Sandoval was gaslighting her, she then went on to gaslight other people in order to defend and save and preserve her relationship, or the illusion of her relationship, and to protect her partner. And that happens a lot. If you have a friend who's in a really shitty relationship and you're honest about that, the fact that they're in a shitty relationship, all of a sudden now you're the enemy. You're jealous, you're bitter, you're triggered, you're this, you're that, you're the third. You become the enemy. So I'm not bashing Ariana, because it's very normal and it's a very normal and natural response to defend and to project and to lash out at people who threaten the fantasy, of your relationship, who threaten the fantasy of who you think your partner is. Then that person then becomes the enemy. As we've seen, she did that to Katie. She also did it to Lala. Another time she did it to Katie, and this is also another time where she gaslit Katie. So this is when Ariana confronts Katie. I think it was before the something about her event, either that episode or the episode before that, with the whole thing about, did you say that I was in an open relationship, and why would Allie lie? And, if we're going to be in business together, I don't want you being the person saying bad things about me in my relationship. And Katie's like, hold up, I didn't say that. This is what I actually said, and this is what happened. And Katie was telling the truth, because in the confessional, Katie even said it. She goes, I don't think they're in a relationship, but if they are, Ariana doesn't know. And she just said that they had more of like an unconventional relationship, and that it was weird that Sandoval was dancing at 1:00 in the morning with Raquel at the Abbey, just the two of them, which it is weird. And James was the one who interpreted what Allie relayed to him as Katie saying, oh, is she saying they're in an open relationship? And Allie was the one who took that bone and carried it to Sheena. So Katie never said that they were in an open relationship. That's how James interpreted it. And this is no shade to James. He was just, his girlfriend was telling him a story, and he was like, oh, is this what she meant? Like that's normal, natural conversation. This is why I don't trust Allie. Because Allie should have said, James thought this because of what Katie said, not Katie said this. And another reason why I don't trust Allie is because she should have kept the smoke she had about her fishiness about Tom Sandoval and Raquel to Sheena, the same way she had that same smoke that she brought to Katie and Lala. So you're kikiing with Katie and Lala over how fishy it is. You go to James and you talk to him about how fishy it is. But when you talk to Sheena, all of a sudden you're so meek and I don't know. And like, it was Katie who said stuff. It was Lala who said stuff. No, Allie, it was you who said stuff, boo-boo. I don't trust Allie. There's something going on there. She's fishy as hell. Anyway, let's get back to it. And then she goes to Katie. She goes, I know you have a problem with Raquel. Again, because Raquel is basically hooking up with basically the girl in the face. It was like, yeah, I'll smash your husband and what? So you have no problem with Raquel disrespecting all the way the hell out of Katie. Oh, you have a problem with her, but I like her and I trust my boyfriend. Do you like her now? Do you trust your boyfriend now? Is it savage now? Is it funny now? And that's also gaslighting. Oh, I know you have an issue with her, but like she's really great to everybody else. That's why Katie said in the clip we just listened to and on the show, girl, I'm just giving you a heads up. I know you're trying to rock with Raquel. I know you think she's this, that, and the third, but I think she's evil. I think she's capable of anything. I don't think that this is just her being horrible to me. I think she's just a horrible person, and she's horrible to everyone. And that's why Lala said, oh, well, I'm happy I was never nice to her, because look how she treats people that are actually nice to her. So Katie was right and Lala was right. But Ariana and Sheena were laughing, they were being dismissive, and they were gaslighting. They both owe Katie and Lala huge apologies. And even prior to this, I do think that there has been some low-key jealousy and dismissiveness when it comes to Lala and Katie. Oh, tequila Katie, she rages, she's this, she's that, she's dismissive, she's whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Lala giving BJs for Range Rovers and this, that, and the third. I think that there's been some jealousy there. I think that they've been jealous of Lala. Lala is a gorgeous girl. You know, I know she's going through it with Randall now, but in the heyday, she had the money from Randall. She had the status from Randall. She had the influence and power from Randall. You know, she was doing the damn thing. She had the house. She had the Range Rovers. She was doing it. And she's a gorgeous girl. I think there was some jealousy there from the rest of the group. Not so much Katie, but I think that there was jealousy from Lala. I think that there was jealousy from Sheena. I think that there was jealousy from Ariana towards Lala, Sheena towards Lala, low-key Stassi towards Lala. I think there was a lot of jealousy there. And then they are very dismissive to Katie. Oh, Katie, you're just raging. You're this, you're that, tequila, blah, blah, blah. Very dismissive. And I agree with what they said in the podcast episode. It's much easier to placate and to like a woman who is submissive and vulnerable and broken and I don't know what I'm doing with my life and okay, James, you know, like Raquel, than it is to really revere a woman who doesn't let people walk over her, who speaks her mind, who goes after what she wants and get it, like a Katie and like a Lala. You know, so I agree with that. But I want to know what you guys think, okay? What do you guys think about this? What do you think about the fact that Lala is spilling all of the tea and revealing the deleted scene that never came to air of Ariana and Sheena laughing at her over what happened in Vegas? I don't think they're laughing now. So put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. But before you do that, you know what to do. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and share. And also, you know, watch your back. All right, you guys. I love you. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon.